So, Dr. Abuy, can you please, you and I spoke about 50 years of Black feminism, and you are an author, you are a doctor, you are highly educated in all aspects of Blackness. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, I born in Equatorial Guinea. It's in Africa, Central Africa. It was a Spanish colony. I grew up in Spain. Well, I grew up with my family. I was very impacted with many peoples in many issues. When I was youth, my women's like my aunts, my grandmother, my mother, so they was activists in Free Mandela movement. And so in events like a Million Men March, which I participated when I was young, and a Million Youth March, I was involved in the militants of the community in Spain. I was African peoples. I was member of the New Black Panther Party and the Free Mandela movement and all this movement for reparations. But really, I consider myself uh, African activist or Black activist, more than scholar. But many of things what I know, I learned through all the people, like the guy who was my mentors, Dr. Akinjelu Moja from Malcolm X Raru's movement, like brother, the mayor of Jackson, brother Lumumba, or sister Minara Moja. I meet people like this. So I grew up in Spain with my family. They teach me about Africans through hip hop music and reggae. I learned many things that then I make in my book, in my research, and other things. Then I'm a journalist. That is what is my what really I am. And we built here in Spain the Malcolm Garvey University, who is a community university, community school, research the struggle of African people in Spain today and make history about our experience. And in this context, where I make my last investigations is this uh, 15 years of African women, Black women struggle in Spain from 1968 to 2018, and is part of the experience of the women in Spain. Women was struggling around the world for a long time. Black women was make it long struggle many times, but normally this history is not in the books. It's not in the films. Yes, we have films like the last films make on this great warrior who is was this what is called? It was the free slave women's or films like Winnie from Winnie Mandela, but the women's heroes in the narrative is something that we must to make reality. And so I grew up in a matriarchy community, and so I know this the history of many brave women in Spain who participate in the struggle for reparation, from Mandela, from anti-racist movement, for freedom, for human rights, for and from Black Power. Many are things like this that normally in the academy when in the book don't appear. So all these things what I did it in collective projects. So I was part of the movement, Pan African movement in Spain. It's an organization who born in 1986 when the young student from Congo, Equatorial Guinea, and Senegal, they assault South African embassy in Madrid to free Mandela. So this movement is the movement when I grow up. I'm not hip hop star. I'm not Puff Daddy. I'm not Schoolie D. I'm not Public Enemy. I'm or Tupac. I'm part of a community.
Again, we are working within our technical difficulty structure that we currently have, but thank you for that. So one of the things out of everything that you said that you've coin yourself more an activist than a scholar. And so you said that you grew up or you came up in a matriarchy where many of us, especially here in the United States, we grew up in a patriarchy. Like it's all about the men, man. And you're like, no, it's, 50 years of women and black women who led the movement. And here in the United States, we're just now seeing or getting the accolades from others to say, it is the black women who are moving us politically. It's the black women who are engaging in business and winning in business and making huge moves when it comes to business and when it comes to politics. It's like it's the black woman. And so I want to talk a little bit. And Haki, what's going on? How are you? Good rising.
Good morning. Everything is good. Good morning to you all.
Hey, Aki, free the line.
Free the land, comrade. That's the comrade right. That's the comrade right there. Free the land, my brother.
Free the line.
I really want to talk about is as far as the women are concerned, like talk us through these black women, these strong black women that have and I would love for Dr. Abuy as well as Haki for both of y'all to like kind of tag team this, how it intertwine it, because when we look at our history, many of us only know American history, which has absolutely no black woman in it except for Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. And so some of the women that Dr. Abuy speaks of, I would like to intertwine that at how it relates to us as America. So I want to take like this black Afrocentric ideology and to just like synthesize it for people to understand how it goes hand in hand here in America as well as in Africa.
Yes. Aki's.
You can go first, comrade. You can go first, comrade. I'll
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr.
piggyback.
I want you to begin the conversation about these amazing black women, and then Haki is going to synthesize it for us to understand how it works on like the United States level, so we can get a kind of like take two different timelines from two different continents and merge it together so we can get a better understanding of how the past affects our present.
Okay. It's true. For me myself, for example, when I make this book, I was inspired. I have inspirations. Many women who I meet in the struggle. Women like Aminata Umoja in Georgia. He's one of the founder of the Quilombo. Oh, I have many of the women who come like Sister Affion in England, like Sister Esther Stamford, who teach me about reparation movement, one of the leader in Europe of reparation movement. I meet all the women who was like Frederica Newton. He's the one of the head of the Hugh P. Newton Foundation. I meet mm, many women who was at the different level, at the grassroots level, at the academic level, at the political level, and that was my inspirations to make this work because normally you say that we see matriarchy as opposite of a man, but not true. When my mother was the leader of the in the church of free Mandela movement, all these free Mandela movement happened in 80s in Spain, in France, in Portugal, in England, in Germany. Majority was women because I was in this meeting. I see many women in all these places like Sister Kia in England. It was another many of the sisters who was involved in this different struggle. Many of the people who appear in my book, in this book, I talk about 500 women. Many of these women didn't have email, Facebook, or WhatsApp, because in that time all these didn't exist. So we must to understand that women was always part of the African Revolution. And you talk about the films you talked before, but you remember that in South Africa, in order to defeat apartheid, it was an incredible woman they call Winnie Mandela, Mandikisela. But behind of Winnie Mandikisela, it was an organization they call the Women League of the INC, the Women's League. All the sisters in Africa was like what's it called? The sister they call Fumileyo Kuti, the mother of Fela Kuti. There was really leaders, activists at the continental level. She was the first woman to organize the professors association at the national level. We're talking in a country like Nigeria with 200 million. So it was incredible sister that they play, and they still playing a role to in the present in many activists. We go into Latin America. I was founded movement in Ecuador and Colombia and Venezuela and Bolivia. I know sisters there, like the sister was killed by racism in Ecuador. Sister Maribel Pinto. Sister Maribel Pinto was the leader of the Pan African movement in Cuenca in Ecuador, and he has other group of women like Sister Mamayama, like other sister there was there Nila de Aguiar, and many of these sister who was the grassroots leader. Because we forget that in order Obama achieve the White House, is because behind is a grassroots level who was fighting in the past with Martin Luther King, with Black Panther, with Malcolm X, with other people. In the present, there is many grassroots level. They make that people going to vote some black, celebrity. For example, here in Spain today, we have more black people in office than ever. But nobody know that in order these people arrive to the office for Socialist Party or this party is because these grassroots level activists, in many of these activists is women in the church, in the education system, in many places that we or people come from, like leadership. Maybe brother Aki, it's your
Haki, I'm
time.
gonna have you jump in here now because I feel totally ignorant. Usually I'm the smartest person in the room. Today I feel like I know nothing because he's mentioning names that I've never even heard before. And so I would love for it. He was mentioning names and you were like, like you knew everybody he was talking about. So I would love for you to jump in and really help me out here because there's a lot that I don't know.
Yes, I totally agree. Because like Doctor said, over the years, I mean, all this information has been suppressed from African people globally. Like everybody thinks everything is, from a masculine perspective, or the struggle or the fight for African liberation was just a man thing. But over the years, we got to understand and put it in the proper context that the women African women have always been at the forefront of our liberation struggle, no matter where that fight was across the globe. And yes, many of the names that Doctor mentioned just now, and that's why his book is so important. I haven't got a chance to read the book yet or get his book yet, but I'm familiar with the information that he put in the book and some of those great Pan African women that he's speaking of. I've studied a lot of those great women throughout the history, and I know of them also through my years of development as a Pan African as well. That's the issue. The issue is that a lot of educational programs throughout the decades have left the African women out of our story. So that's another main reason why I came up with the thing of doing the thing of our story, to put the history out there that's not talked about. See, like you said in the beginning of the program, especially pertaining to North America, we only know Harriet Tubman or Sojourner Truth or people of that level that's kind of like in the popularized texture of their history or how they put their curriculum together as far as the United States of America. But no, our story goes deeper down the rabbit hole than that. And we got to understand that African women have always been at the forefront of our struggle. And we could take this back into a chronology context of taking it back to Africa. Now, ever since the liberation struggle to liberate Africa, it was some of the women who have always been at the forefront of trying to liberate Africa or try to keep Africa out of the clutches of colonialism, imperialism, of outsiders and invaders. We can take this struggle all the way back to the beginning of, even in the Nubian Kush era of the Nubian Kush queens. Queens like Amati Shaketo. She was a Pan-African woman, African nationalist woman, a Pan-Africanist woman, and the whole lineage of Nubian Kush queens who were at the forefront of trying to liberate Africa and keep foreign invaders out of Africa and things of that nature. And we could take it over to the west coast of Africa, where we could take it back to the period of time of Queen Nzinga, who rose up against, European imperialism and European nations that tried to invade their kingdoms. You know what I mean? You got queens like in Ghana, like Ya Asantewaa, people like that. And these women that I'm speaking are the foundational Pan-Africans. These are freedom fighting African women who have been fighting ever since the colonialist period of time, that who are not known either. They're known to us Pan-Africans, in the Pan-African educational system, but they're not like really known far as like in the totality of education systems across the world. But see, that's our duty to tell the story. The educators, the activists, who know these things, who know this history. So this struggle is not a new struggle, because women have always rose up, have been the most powerfulest figures in our struggle, who actually are the head of the struggle. Many people don't realize that the woman is the head of the African struggle, because she is the one that she does a lot to contribute to our struggle. You know what I mean? Whether it's the education, the culture, the traditions, of African liberation and things of that nature. The woman has always been the head of that. Some of our great revolutionary freedom fighters are women. We could take it back to Garvey. A lot of people put a picture on Garvey as, and he deserves it, because he is like one of our great Pan-African Foundation leaders. But people don't realize he had great women freedom fighters, on his side. He had great Pan-African wives like Amy Garvey and his other wife. You see what I'm saying? These people are not known. You know what I'm saying? And this is why this book is so important, because these women are not even known. And especially even in the Spain Pan-African struggle, I know many of our people in North America don't know about the Spain, Pan-African struggle or the Black Power struggle of Spain. So I'm happy that Doc is putting this information out, because it's needed, because a lot of our generational kids, especially our daughters, who feel like
Yes.
that they don't have, like this role in our story. You see what I'm saying? So we need more information like this. We need more books like this. We need more history to be told about these great African women freedom fighters, because our daughters are sitting around just learning education on a masculine level or a patriarchal level. No, we need more of a matriarchal education, because our daughters need to know these great sisters' names.
Yeah, look, I have in the book, I have 2 chapters talking about Emmy Jacks and Emmy Aswood. The Dr. Garvey liked women with the name Emmy. So, so I have two chapters so people can understand what kind of a women we're talking about in Spain. So they must to know first of all before you know Beyonce. I like Beyonce, but before you know Beyonce, you must to know Amy Jazz Garvey, Amy Aswood, because the life of Amy Aswood is like Hollywood. She traveled all over the world. She traveled to Africa. She traveled to Central America. She traveled to Europe, building African freedoms, building political parties, building business. See, this woman, if this woman is white, they was making films about his life. But we don't know about these kind of women. We have other people, other women is the book that I told. It was my great inspiration when we was because we come from hip hop movement. This sister was the Sister Soldier. Somebody remember Sister Soldier? Sister Soldier, she was playing with Public Enemy in the beginning. And yes, and Sister Soldier bring conscience people. Myself, I was follow groups like MPMD, like Africa Islam, Paris, all these groups. And Sister Soldier is one of the first women who broke this. She didn't bring me feminist ideas. She bring me black revolutionary ideas. So many of the ideas we know is come from these women. We have other people like One Tayla. She's one of the leader of the all of African people, African Socialist Party, the Uhuru movement in Florida. Or women's like Mbuji Nehanda. So brother Aki talk about Namibia. Mbuji Nehanda was the resistance against the Germans when the Germans come colonize. She was another one that Bob Marley used to talk in his song. Is Nani. Nani appeared in the dollars of Jamaica, $5 Jamaica. Nani appears there. Nani, it was the Maroons. She was the leaders of the defeat Spanish, defeat English, and he and his brother Kojo divided Iceland. She's Nani. So Nani appear in my book too, because we must contextualize the people that we are not talking women's of Madonna. Who's that girl? No, we are talking about Sister Sulia. You understand? So we must be clear in that. Women like Dandara. Dandara was the wife of Zumbi in Palmares. When Zumbi died, Dandara called the Palmares in the defeat the Portuguese, defeat the Spanish, defeat the Germans. And when we talk about Haiti revolution, we talk about Bookman, we talk about Mackendal. But she was a woman who write the document that the Haiti people read the night when they make the revolution started. You know? So all these people is, as Brother Haki said, is not new. It's not new. So it's not new. Is the only thing is that colonial system use patriarchy more than any time in the history, because colonial system come to Africa, come to Latin America, go to Asia, and bring patriarchy as instrument of oppressed people. You know, and he convinced black people that all this wrong idea we have. But when we go into history, we will see, we say the Wailers, but the Wailers have three women play with Bob Marley. They call this woman I3. You understand? So, so we can learn from music. So that's why many of my epistemology is coming from music, films, and struggle, because I have the opportunity to meet women like Sister Pam Africa. The Pam Africa, when she came to Spain, I meet her. I talk with her. Women's like, white people, white left people. We have many discussions with them because they believe that they invented feminists. But we told her in the same time, Elaine Brown was head of the Black Panther Party here in Europe. There is no women in this position in any revolutionary leftist, communist, socialist organization. But when they come, they say, no, Abuy, black people is this, black people is that. But They don't see that women like Elaine Brown, women, Kathleen Cleaver, um, many of these, Safia Bukhari, women like Safia Bukhari. Safia Bukhari is a woman. He come from to the rich family, but she made what Cabral called revolutionary suicide. She became leader of the grassroots of the mass of the people. But in the beginning, she come on to the rich people who, we can call Negro society. So I think Safia Bukhari is an example of many of these. Asara Shakur, we're talking about people who is famous, For example, here there is some group of sister. We call them the Angela Davis hip hop, because every year Angela Davis come to Spain, and those sisters wear the t-shirt. They're going to see Angela Davis like they see Tupac, but as the next day you don't see them more. you know. But Angela Davis is an example, and we must to bring all this. What I'm doing in the book is bring all the experience, not only in Spain, but and around the world, and show this history, because this history is not me or brother Haki who invented anything. I met Aminata Moja the same time when I met Dr. Kali Muhammad. You understand? And Aminata was organized New African Women Organization. Understand? In that time, it was 1998. But for example, we was reading when we was member of the New Black Panther Party in Spain. We was reading a newspaper they called Nation Time. Maybe Haki, you remember this newspaper? It was making in Queens, New York, by the brother Herman Ferguson. And what is in the name of his wife?
Iyanla Ferguson.
Yes, this woman was the woman who did this newspaper for more than 12 years. But we know Herman Ferguson, but we don't know her. For example, I didn't know her, and this woman is still alive, still doing things. So we must to go in deep on this history to understand that our history of a struggle movement is not different. The women was always, all the time, was inside of the struggle. Not only inside, what's in front of the struggle. There was a leadership of the struggle in many of these struggle. And all the group going to National Islam, you will see there. Going to any groups you can go, you will see. You understand? So, for example, I tell you, Miriam Makeba. Miriam Makeba is the woman who sung the song Aluta Continua. And he was the wife of Kwame Ture. And she was one of the great activists and inspiration in the life. And all the songs of the Miriam Makeba is coming because he was in the struggle in the front with his husband. So it's not women who is you see in internet talking about the black beauty thing like this or blah. It's women who really there was the theoretical. When we talk for example, I'm know about Malcolm X in the music, because group like Public Enemy, like Paris, like MPMD, like Africa Islam, like Sister Soja, they was talking about it was talking Malcolm X this, Malcolm X that, Farrakhan this. So people begin to know things, and then when you go to school, you buy this book to know about who's the people talking. But the same thing happened with the sister. So many the sister that you don't know, or you listen about some sister, because the most famous sister is Angela Davis, because she's make book in Spanish, she's traveled to Spain. The white left feminist movement, they promote her, blah blah. But what I try to do is in this book is in talk about this woman. He don't there is not in Facebook, there is not in internet, because In that time, there was an internet. But Herman Ferguson wife, I was paid. It was $20 that time, and you received the newspaper in Spain. Who's do that? Is this woman do that? So she is one of the leader of this movement. So with many of us, we learn English with this newspaper. They call Nation Time. There was the four biggest newspaper in the African Revolution movement. It was Nation Time for Napo. It was Barney Spear for Barney Spear in Florida. Made it by what's it called? What's this called? This brother Mali Tayla. It was another newspaper that was making another place. It was those was the National Islam newspaper. The last call. Those was three newspaper that when we went to school to study journalism, we must to read this newspaper first. We begin to go to school if you want to understand something. That is the problem of the black people going to learn to be black in school. So that is problem. Because in any school they teach you to be African. You must to be close to the movement or your family or community or be part of organization. But 90% black people, when they go into your school, they discover they are Africans. But you have 45 years, you have 3 children. How you can discover that you are Africans for 45 years? That is problem. That's why if I discover that I'm African for 45 years, when I read the newspaper and or books in school, I hear about Aminata Moja, all these women. I don't give a fuck. I don't give any importance because I don't have them like authority, you know, because we have some names as authority because in school they teach you to understand who is authority and who is not authority. People who come from the book is authority. People is not in the book is nothing. You know. So that's you see you remember in 80s, no, 90s. You remember it was some people before Tupac come in. It was an NWA with this group with those people was playing, But it was groups like what's it called? A group Schoolie D. But Schoolie D, as this come from the tradition of the black struggler, they never has any hour. They never give them any hour because they come from outside. But when those after the LA riots, because the question of Ronnie King, the slave masters take hip hop, it change hip hop. You don't have more groups. It's only individual who sing, rap, DJ, do everything. And that is some kind of show you how the black community is now individualistic. Because before you have group with 6, 7 people. But now you have only one. One guy who is singer, who is DJ, who is everything. We don't have more DJ like Girlmaster Flash, group like guy like this what he calls Terminera X. They're not DJ like Terminera X. J Master J. They're not DJ like J Master J. It's only guy who do only things, and they promote in the hip hop all these sexist message, attacking women, calling women bitch. This started in 1992 after a riot of Ronnie King. President Bush's mother, Barbara Bush, make a statement calling the records to stop political music like Fuck the Police, Ice-T. All these groups disappear. So they bring you gangster rap. And gangster rap, it was essentially attack black women, attacking African women in all sense. You know, so we black women group disappear. There was only men singing hip hop, making music, and it was this kind of propaganda attacking women, women this, women that. You know, all these things. Even Tupac was inside, and Tupac come from revolutionary tradition. You know, he come from revolutionary tradition. He come from the Black Power movement, but he was inside of this kind of situation, and this situation replying in all the world, Africa, everywhere. You know, attacking and making presenting black women like nothing. You know, through the music. That was the new Cointerplo. That was the new Cointerplo. It was very effective for us.
I am um completely blown away. So my first question is this book in English?
I'm in a negotiation. I'm looking for one house public who want to translate the book to want to publish in English. Now it's in Spanish, and you know that we have 200 African million speak Spanish, and we the African people speak Spanish. We are the most colonized people. We are the most colonized African people because we suffer different colonization that English speaking. We suffer what they call, what the Fela Kuti call direct rule or indirect rule. And indirect rule means that you don't only pay me as colonial. You must to take my names, take my religion, be like me. You know, that's why it is called integration. So integration is when Marcus Garvey said against integration, people don't understand because Marcus Garvey spent his life in Costa Rica, Venezuela, Chile, Peru, and he know what you mean integration. So black people is more poor today in South Africa and the US than when they have apartheid or Jim Crow because people disintegrate. So we need to we are looking for people in the US or who can translate and publish this book in the United States. I think so. If we maybe in the next 3 months we should be success in and get the books. And but we have in the US we have 54 millions of African people who speak, of the people who speak Spanish in the US. It's too much people, you know. And even one of the first decision took by Donald Trump when he arrived to the White House was to close the Spanish website page of the White House. And Donald Trump did it. And so I'm hope that brother Haki and other brothers in the US should be interested in to get published in one of the great publication in the in the in the US. And I hope that we can open this discussion around the women leadership, not around as the women like victims. No, leadership, because we or women, black women never was big victims. It was leadership. The black woman was fighter in the slave in the slave in the colonial in the slave time. Black woman was fighting. If you see Django, you see all these films. The women that are inside, you know, fighting for Kunta Kinte roots. You know, women was always fighting in the ship in Africa. They was fighting against the oppressor. They was fighting in the plantation. They was fighting in school. So this emergence of black women like victims is making by romantical Hollywood. But it's not true. It's Hollywood to make, and this trap music's coming. Calling women bitch, all these things. This is new, but it's not like this. Look, Soyon Truth. Who's telling you Soyon Truth? She was she have an army organization. She was no NGO. She was no Black Lives Matter. She have army organization.
So right now the book is not translated into English. The book
No,
that I wrote, I got translated into Spanish. Can I give
mhm.
you my translate? I want to read this book and I'm mad that I can't because I don't read Spanish. Like I'm really upset. There's 500 women in it. So if you are just now tuning in, we're speaking with Dr. Abuy, and I brought Haki into this conversation because Haki like knows more history than I could ever imagine with 7,000
Yes,
books
yes,
behind him. And so I needed some
yes.
help, and I recognize, I don't know what I don't know. And so I really wanted to synthesize this conversation as far as the last 50 years, 500 Black women that led the struggle throughout the years into what we call our freedoms today. And so even though the United States is now like, oh, the Black woman did this and the Black woman turned over Georgia, we've been, as Black women, we've been turning shit over for a long time. Like we ain't new to this. And so Dr. Abuy has a book about the 50 years of Black Afrofeminism. And I want to read this book, and I need somebody to translate it for me so I
Ye-
can read it. So I do have a translator. She's absolutely amazing. She was
yeah.
formerly an attorney in Dominican Republic. But when you come to the United States want to act like you stupid because you don't speak English. And so
Yes.
now going through the motions of having to like reinstate herself as a lawyer. Simply because she doesn't speak the language. And so I, that book looked really big, Dr. Abuy. Let me see that book. That book looked like 600, 700
It's
pages right
yeah.
now.
It's 600 page. It's 600 page, and it's a women's that is very important in this book. This woman is come from New Orleans. This woman was the first woman in Spain to denounce Spanish government at the High Court in the Europe. And this woman was attacked by police, and when he was with his child and with his husband was a white man, and the police asked document only her. He was black, and then that's happened in 1992, and she win on the court in the court last year. So all his life, and but the women's, she said when we asked the sister, my sister, why you do that? You have all your life. You only need to take passport and give police. Said no, because my mother, my grandfather, they was fighting against Ku Klux Klan in the U.S. So when I come to Spain, I come looking for freedom. I cannot back anyway to stay like a slave. So the sister is very important women in this book because governments, media, intellectual, the so blacks called black celebrities, everybody forget the sister. Everybody forget the sister because Babylon has accept some kind of a sister, you know, sister who is a good sister, talk lie, things like this. But because capitalists have this capacity to integrate some people, but the people who confront, they have the principles of the identity of Africanity. The people forget them. That's why I put the sister in the book, because when the sister, I was young. I was in high school when the sister started this struggle. It was yesterday when the sister win. So that told you there is women who have the capacity to make this struggle. Any man can support that, and they destroy the life of the sister, because whose man can be next to you when you are all day fighting against the slave master? It's not easy. You understand? So they destroy your life. You lost your friends, you lost your job, but the sister continues. Finally, she won. So people must to know this history. That's why I put the history of the sister in the book. And now governments is promoting black women in media, talking bullshit, but never invite the sister. Never. You understand? Never. Never invite the sister. They're inviting young sister. They talk about the African beauty, this, blah, things like this, integration, or blah, blah, blah. But the sister like this, who care to confront in the youth, in the court, to the government, who is the sister is example of a struggle, they never invite her. No on TV, no in college, no in newspaper. They want project the sister like victims, but the sister is not victims. The sister is leadership. She won. This kind of we must to control something that Winnie Mandela told me when I meet her in Durban and during the international conference. And Sister Winnie Mandela said, "Brother Bui, the most important thing is control the narrative. Narrative is the most important. Doesn't matter what's happened with Amijas Garvey. The most important is control narrative. These women like Amijas Garvey, like other women they call. Maybe you must to read this book. The sister is Asatan Zinga. The sister live in London. She wrote the book Women in the Garvey Movement. Yeah, this book show you what the level of the women has in this movement. And you can understand because this narrative they protect black movement like sexist, like negative, things like this. But it's not true because we must to control the narrative. That's why we must to control take back hip hop. We lost hip hop. We don't control hip hop. So they got now my children listen trap, you know, and you know those kind of group, you don't control them. Before they say reggaeton, hip hop, reggaeton, trap, many soul, many group, many black people was also always his dialectical aspect and his articulate. It was through music. All time, if you want to know about Africans, go to the music.
That's 100% true. Because for me, it was Wu Tang. Wu Tang brought me to a whole nother level as far as vocabulary was concerned. So you are absolutely right. Even like the Jay Z's, the Nas, like it was a whole. It was the whole dictionary for me. We're gonna go ahead. Let's play these bills real quick, and when we come back, Haki, I want you to, based on what we just heard from Dr. Abuy, I want you to kind of touch on that because one of the things that hit me the hardest, it was when he said we used to have groups, hip hop groups. We used to have like women groups. And then after the Rodney King, the police, they were like, nah, everybody for one, like one person, that one person have to be in the front, that one person does everything, that one person gets all the accolades. And that also, like for me, it translated into once upon a time it used to be a village and now it's the single mother doing everything on her own. And so we're going to talk about this a little bit more. This is I love this conversation. I'm sitting here like a sponge soaking it all up, and we're going to figure out how we can get this book translated so I can read it.
Smart FM. We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink.
Remember, I'm going to
Spark FM Online. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. Today, we are speaking with Dr. Abuy about his book, The 50 Years of Afrofeminism. And it talks about all of the Black women from every continent, multiple countries that have been a part of the Afrocentric movement, or just like the for us, that us Pan-African movement as a whole across the globe for the last 50 years. And so because I can admit the fact that I don't know what I don't know, we have Haki here, who is we're gonna just call him our resident historian, because this man know everything about everything for forever. And so Haki, I want to bring you in to this conversation. And based on everything that we just heard of Dr. Abuy speaking for, a good 15 minutes straight, fact after fact after fact, and just, hitting us with stuff that we never even knew, names I've never even heard of, but like just listening to him speak, I saw myself like sitting up taller and like being proud and being excited to be a part of this group of women that are kicking down doors and like smashing ceilings way before the United States was giving accolades to the Black woman. And so, Haki, just bring us up to speed as far as like what you heard Dr. Abuy talking about, and how, where can we find these women in English now?
Haki. I don't listen. I don't listen.
We can't hear anything you're saying, Haki. Anything that you just said, we missed all of that.
Yes.
We might need you to leave and come back in, because I can't hear anything that you're saying. And Dr. Abuy can't hear either. And so,
We don't. We can listen to you.
so if you're
Maybe.
just now tuning in, let me tell you what you missed. So Dr. Abuy is grew up in Spain. He is, as you can see, a Black man who was raised in a feminist community. He was raised by feminists. He was raised by Black women who were part of the Free Nelson Mandela movement. He is a historian. He's also Haki, I got you. He's also a journalist. He said, aside from being a professor, he considers himself to be an activist more than an educator. And so, Haki, let me see if we can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Now. Okay. Go ahead,
Okay.
brother.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying that, everything that Dr. Abuy was speaking on is some deep history that's now really being put out there, because like I said, not too long ago, we got to understand, especially for us Africans and African diaspora, is that we've been taught a colonized education, a patriarchal education. So we don't know too much about African women freedom fighters, or any women of color freedom fighting, or women period freedom fighters, or that women had a major role in our struggles. So everything that he's saying is like, we definitely need that information out here, and we definitely need to get that book here in the North America, United States, and things of that nature, so we can start to use it to put this information out there that's been suppressed for so long and repressed for so long. And to piggyback off of what he was saying, um I'm gonna just go ahead and use a quote from like one of our elders. Like she's his elder too. Sister. Amanada Umoja.
Yes.
It's a political pamphlet that she put out back in like the 1990s, that was called
Yes.
"Revolution Without Women Ain't Happening."
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? That's like one of the most powerfulest like quotes that can empower any woman today. because it makes a strong statement that revolution without women won't happen, which is facts. Because throughout history, women has always been in the forefront of the struggle. We can't do nothing without our women. The woman is the backbone of the struggle. She's the first teacher of a nation. You feel me? So of nations of people. So we can't do nothing without a woman. But to answer your question on where we can find these women at today in English, um, I'm gonna give you one reference, one source that people can go get right now. It's a book by a sister by the name of Keisha M. Blaine that came out a few years ago called "Set the World on Fire." Black nationalist women, the global struggle for freedom. And in that book by Sister Keisha M. Blaine, she's speaking on Pan-African women, revolutionary nationalist women, the women freedom fighters that's not talked about. And a few of those individuals that she have in that book is something that is a person that every woman should know about is Queen Mother Moore, Queen Ali Moore, who was a Garveyite. She was one of the founders of the New African Independence Movement, the Republic of New Africa. Her and a sister by the name of Dara Bakari, who was actually a president of the Republic of New Africa. And these two sisters are two sisters that you can, start with. You can start with Queen Mother Moore and Sister Dara Bakari, because these sisters were from the beginning of the Pan-African struggle, because these sisters were Garveyites. And these sisters were also mentors of Malcolm X. See, a lot of people don't even realize that Malcolm X was mentored by Queen Mother Moore and Elijah Muhammad of the Nation of Islam. These great brothers and these great leaders, they got their tutelage from Queen Mother Moore. This is a great woman that everybody should know about, especially our sisters, our daughters, and things of that nature. Like Queen Mother Moore is the catalyst of a Pan-African revolutionary nationalist woman that every sister, especially in the United States of America, should learn about. These great sisters are the, they are the mothers of the modern day reparations movement that was sparked off by this sister back in slavery by the name of Callie House, who was, and many people don't know that this sister, Callie House, was one of the first women to advocate for reparations. Queen Mother Moore comes off that tree of a sister by the name of Callie House. You can go get her book. Callie House has a autobiography out right now that you can learn about how sisters were at the spearhead of reparations movement at the end of slavery. Another few sisters that I could toss in there that you can go look up that Dr. Abuy mentioned earlier was Asada Shakur. Asada Shakur is somebody book that you can go get and learn about the Pan-African sisters struggle. Another sister by the name of Nahanda Abiodun, who was the mother of hip hop in Cuba, because I heard Dr. Abuy bring up the hip hop a lot. You have a sister by the name of Nahanda who passed away a few years ago, who was a part of the New African People's Organization, who also was a great close comrade of Asada Shakur, who also had to flee to Cuba from persecution here in North America. A great sister who brought hip hop to Cuba, and she brought revolutionary nationalist politics to Cuba along with Asada. Nahanda Abiodun is somebody that was a sister of Dr. Matulu Shakur. She's somebody that our people really don't know of. A lot of people started to learn about her a few years ago after her death. She got ill and she passed away a couple of years ago. She finally got mentioned in the Source magazine, a hip hop magazine. Wrote a story about Nahanda, who's actually named after a great freedom fighter in Africa from the colonialist periods of time. So there's a lot of sisters out there that Dr. Bowie mentioned, like Kathleen Cleaver, Elaine Brown, of the Black Panther Party. We got great sisters inside the Black Panther Party who also are actually Pan-African sisters as well, who are in the Pan-African struggle. So yes, everything that he stated, I definitely co-sign. I would definitely like to learn more. Like you said, I want to read his book also. So I hope we can get his book here in American English, because that's over 600 pages of suppressed history. That's a library that we could teach about our sisters who were matriarchal queens, who are Pan-Africanist queens. Also, one last thing that I will piggyback off of what he said, especially in the Americas, in the slavery periods of time, we had great Pan African sisters, like he said, of the Colombo struggle in Brazil. Some of our greatest Pan African freedom fighting women came out of Brazil. And Brazil has ties to, like the Pan African struggle of Spain, because all these people speak Spanish or they speak Portuguese, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. And there's a great Pan African revolutionary struggle of women in Brazil who has taken up the struggle of Asada Shakur, Nahanda Abiodun, Nanny of the Maroons. There were great Maroon sisters, freedom fighters here in North America in the slavery periods of time that a lot of people still don't know about, that's learning about now. You had sisters fighting amongst the great Dismal Swamp Maroons of Virginia, North Carolina. I mean, there's so many sisters. You had a great sister who stood on the side of the great freedom fighter Gabriel Prosser right here in Richmond, Virginia. Another sister by the name of Nanny that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, the sisters have led this black struggle. Don't get it twisted. Like, a lot of males get credit. A lot of males get thrust in the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? But you got to always understand, if there were great African men that were fighting for us, it was great African women who went just as harder than they did.
I am so inspired today. Like, I'm so inspired to be a Black woman, and very excited to read about them all. And so, Haki, there was somebody that Dr. Abuy mentioned, and then um you mentioned that like she's still alive today. I have to like go back, and do you remember who? Like, I want to get in contact with her, and I would love to have a conversation with her and to interview her. Like, I want to build on this, because this can't just be a one-off conversation. This can't be a one-off. Like, I want to have multiple. There's 500 women in that book. I want to have 500 different conversations, because this
Yeah.
it's so necessary, because when you understand your history, when you understand whose shoulders you actually stand on, instead of saying the ancestors, I know the known and unknown, like, I want to be able to say their name. I want to be able to know
Yes.
their struggle. I want to know, what it is that they overcame. And then, so for me, it's knowing what they did and how they led. How can we use their tactics today? Because when you think about, Dr. Abuy mentioned, there was no Facebook, there was no WhatsApp, there was no emails, but they still got things done. So how do we follow their footsteps, get things done by using the tactics that they used, and see where I am today as a Black woman in a building built by a Black woman? Like, there's so many freedoms that I am afforded today because of the woman that came before me. And I want to be able to know them by name, and to be able to teach my daughter their names, and her daughter their names. And so, Dr. Abuy, I want to say thank you. We are coming to the top of the hour, but I want to say thank you now for, first and foremost, reaching out. Second of all, for dealing with me when I'm like, he's just like, you're busy. You're Michelle Obama. I'm not. I'm I'm so glad that you stalked me the way that you did, so we could have this conversation, because it is so important to me. And I thank you for your time. I thank you for your wisdom, for your knowledge. And I thank you for this book that we are going to have translated into English very soon. And so, Haki is Dr. Abuy. Haki, is there anything else that you want to make mention to? And Haki, like, you guys, there's a lot that was said today that I'm completely ignorant of. There's a lot of my foremothers that I do not know their names. And so, Haki, if you can, for me, like, write out their names so I can search them by name and do my due diligence, because a lot of them, like, I don't even know how to pronounce. I'm like, say that again. Like, what letters are those? And so, if you can help me out by doing that, and then let's continue this conversation. Let's pick 2 or 3 of them and go through who they are, what it is that they did, in the actual history of it. And so, Dr. Abuy, I think what I'm going to do is have you connect with the translator who did my book. So her native tongue is Spanish. Her English isn't the best, but if she can read it in Spanish, and get an understanding of who it is and what they are and what they did, then we can her and I can sit down, and maybe I can do a Cliff Note version of what it is, just for conversational purposes, not for the actual translation, but for us to begin these conversations about these great women that, like, I can't tell you, I'm on the inside, I'm shining and I'm gleaming because I'm a part of them and they're a part of me. And I couldn't imagine hearing today's conversation and not being a Black woman. Like, I'd feel a little left out.
The things where I feel when I arrived to Washington D.C. in 1995 with a Million Men March. I never see how much Black people together in my life. I was like smoking ganja, something like this. That impressed to me. So maybe changed my life. So going through the women, you'd say one of the women is coming in my book here in Spain is the Sister Ma Bangema. They call Rufi. This sister was the sister to teach me about the Afrocentric. All this come from Afrocentric. My first time in my life, I hear these words. It was the sister Ma Bangema in Barcelona who introduced me about that, and he introduced me about Rite Egyptians, all these things. Before we know Molefia Sante, all these people that we know now, there was this sister who teach, and the sister told me people said that Africa is the origin of humanity, but that is not the point. The point is that he's the origin of civilization. That's why Sheikh Anta Diop come to tell the people. Was the same happen with women? People say no, women is the mother of the humanity. Yes, but it's not. This is not only the point. The point is that all these sisters the Haki mentioned, it was the sister to build organizations, they build context, they build revolutions that we are here. You understand? If you know, and it's not just to say that somebody is from humanity. Yes, we know Black people is very humanity, but we talk civilization is another thing. You understand? So when we talk about the question of reparation, you cannot forget Sister Nkechi Taifa, one of the great what they call attorneys and fight for reparations. There is a book is wrote with Chokwo Lumumba, Sister Nkechi Taifa, Mario Badele, and Akinjele. They wrote this book. Maybe Haki got this book. Somebody stole my own. I haven't this book more. Yeah, this is Sister Nkechi Taifa. Yes, this woman. When the people talk about reparation in the United States Congress, they don't know what's this come from. It's these women. Sister Nkechi Taifa, one of the women who promote the question of reparation as a struggle. Is even here in Spain, the first women to start to confront the idea of the white Jesus in the Black church. It was women like Vicenta Voro here in Spain, because you go into the Black church, you see white Jesus. And you say the pastor, why this? They tell you, oh no, Abuy, we must be integration, Abuy, this is. You say, what pastor was it? It was the women who started to say, we're going to boycott all the church. They have white Jesus. And these women begin to articulate people to make a new church. And that was the inside of this church. The Free Mandela movement was strong.
Why many churches only have a cross and don't have Jesus on the cross anymore?
Yeah, they
What?
have a you. Yeah, you have Nigerian church, Cameroonian church, Ghanaian church, Angola church. You go in there, you will see white Jesus, but the people inside they are black. So, so no man's asks anything, but the group of women begin to say, "This cannot. This is impossible." So they begin to boycott the church and articulate young students to promote Pan-African movement and support Winnie Mandela and Free Mandela movement. That was the movement radicalized because the Free Mandela movement in Spain was controlled by the church. Negro church, Phil Negro church. You understand? And the Phil Negro church was headed by women. The name of these women, Vicenta Boro, Basilisa Nfubea is my mom. And all the women who was in this group, that they said, no, we can have no, we cannot have freedom in the church of the white Jesus is in the world. So that is some kind of experience that I put in my book, because as a consequence of this boycott, people begin to know who is Chris Honey, who is Steve Biko, what is going on, and things like this. Even when the Million Men March took place in the U.S., here in Spain, people talking, no, Abuy, this Farrakhan is racist, he's Muslim, he's dangerous, blah, blah. But there was many women that it was Christian, but was follow Million Men March and the discussion in the church, in the community. So the conscience of freedom, the intellectual conscience is coming from these women. We have many brothers who was PhD, is coming to the school, blah, 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 blah. But they don't understand the question that you cannot have white Jesus in the black church. They don't understand. But this woman didn't go to school. This woman didn't have PhD, but they have the knowledge and the conscience to rule and to determine what is the ideological. And this is the question. This is intellectual question. It's intellectual debate. So I have many of these women in my book, and these women, they are not appearing in any history in Spain. You understand? They aren't going to appear in any history in Spain. One of the women appears in my book is Celiamba, Maria Celiamba. He's one of the sisters who started the movement because governments in Spain, in other part of the world, kidnap black women, the children, to give them to white families to get them or to put them in the jail, in the youth jail. Many youth jail is taking because women's going to market to buy something. 5 minutes when they back, police is in the home say, no, your children is alone. You are not able to care these children. Malcolm X mother, you remember? Yes, the same thing. So they take many of these women from Senegal, Mali, Guinea Equatorial. They have this problem, and the white feminists, they don't have time to talk about this. So Pan-African movement, they take this question as one of his program. And the sister spent 1 year in jail because the government denounced the sister as she kidnapped their own children because she refused to give the children to the state to put them in the youth jail. So she spent 1 year and she became famous in the community. There was actions, demonstration for his freedom. The sister passed last year in December, and the sister was one of the women who broke this conscience about these terrible actions that the black women and the black people in general, we suffered in the slavery. During the slavery, the slave master took your children and sell it. Now they don't do the same, but they take it, they put it in the youth prison. They tell you that you don't have money, you don't have able to care the children because the children going to school, and the
Same issue.
the
The same issues going on today here in the United States in the form of medical they're taking the kids because you
Yes.
physically can't take
Hmm.
care of them, because you financially can't take care of them.
Hmm.
I'm still building on the conversation for us to have like the DSS and the DYS and the
Yes.
like taking youth out of the home and what's it called, adopting, like having families go ahead and adopting the kids and be like,
Adopting.
no,
Yes. Yes.
I'm not a drug addict. I just don't have money. The family, nobody's a drug addict. The kids aren't really in harm's way. Why are you kidnapping the kids? And so I actually have a family member that is currently going through this right now. And so we've come all the way to the top of the hour, Dr. Abuy. Haki, I want to thank you for your time because it was so last minute, but I do appreciate
Hmm.
your insight. And I do want to continue this conversation. So let's talk offline and figure out how we can get those 500 women into a 500 different conversations. And so we can go ahead and build the knowledge of these women that have impacted our world so much so, but we don't, whatever you are doing in your life right now is because of the freedoms that were afforded to you by a Black woman. I don't care if it was from the 2021 or if it was from year two. It's always been a Black woman. It's always been us. And so I thank you, Dr. Abuy. I thank you, Haki. Dr. Abuy, how do we purchase the book? And Haki, how do we contact you to gain the knowledge that you all have? After they give their contact information, we're going to go straight into commercial and end the show like that. And so I am Taylor Andre. Waking Up with Taylor Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. Everything Taylor Andre, TaylaAndre.com.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at hockey_Quayle_Shakur. You can find me on Facebook, Hockey Quayle Shakur.
Okay, I'm on Instagram too. You can find the book in Instagram. I'm in Facebook as Thomas Tiotom, Abuy Nfubea, and you can find me even in the Malcolm Garvey University.com. And well, this is I want to thanks too much Brother Haki, because Brother Haki is played the great role in the last 5 years to teaching and give people the history of a struggle. I started to follow Brother when he talked about the Pennsylvania, the Nat Turner, all these questions he talked, and he educated many of us, because we come from a tradition of a struggle, and a brother use this channel of internet is not easy, and he used it easy to us, and thanks sister for invite me. Thank you very much to invite me. I know that you are very busy. You are not Michelle Obama, but you are most worse Winnie Mandela or something like this. You are very busy, and you take your time to invite me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Uhuru, my sister. Free line. Okay, I'll put a key. Leave studio.